Samsung Galaxy Z Trifold, the culminational climax of the last 7 years worth of folding phone technology. Samsung has now doubled the number of hinges to make a tri-folding 10-inch tablet that fits in your pocket, Iron Man style. I do have another one of these to give away.
A couple of days ago, I was fortunate enough to get one before it sold out pretty much immediately. If it happens to be available when you're watching this video, I'll have links to it in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. The retail price, $2,900.
At CES, I was with Samsung, and they let me get some hands-on with it for about an hour and a half. And I gotta say, I've really tempered my expectations a lot on this phone because...
in Hong Kong visiting someone, and I've just picked up the Galaxy Z Trifold. This is like the global version, so not the one available in the US, but in Taiwan and Korea.
Expected to, because of what they've done with all of that screen. So the Trifold ships in a pretty massive box by today's standards. Samsung did this with their very first Galaxy Fold 2. I guess it's their way of rewarding the early adopters. And the first thing inside is this insert.
By side with the Fold 7, so similar thicknesses given the actual parts of them themselves. But with this extra portion added here, we are actually getting some extra battery life on this. But honestly, design-wise, pretty similar overall. The camera. Super excited to check this out. Still cold from shipping here in the winter. We have a 45-watt charger included in the box, so this does support faster charging. Really hyped about that, actually.
Itself, and interestingly underneath that, a 45-watt charger too. Not quite sure how that lines up with not including the charger on every other phone for eco reasons, but I'm happy to see it here. I don't think it's as safe as
Charger in here, but we'll find out in a second. Okay, first things first, case. Let's see what the case is saying. So glad you get a case for this, especially with the money you have to spend. Milliamp hour battery with 45-watt wired charging. It's last year's chipset, which is fine because it was actually pretty good last year anyway. Oh, and you get a charger in the box.
0.5-inch cover display, the same sized screen bezels, but then you look around the device and it's a chonker. The thing weighs in at 309 grams. So side by side with current foldables, the Trifold is almost 50% heavier, and just the sheer.
Just a square form factor, so whichever way you have it, it's pretty much the same. Checking the weight on this Trifold. Yep, coming in at 322 grams. That's pretty heavy. If we take the Fold 7 here, feels much lighter in comparison.
It kind of feels fragile, which makes me nervous since I definitely don't want this Trifold to die before it's supposed to. And without even getting to the main Android menu, we're treated with a long list of warnings, like bigger as the flap gets closer and closer to the center until it touches. Honestly, I think the Trifold is being a little overdramatic here. The bend is still quite gentle, and all the hardware is fine. I wouldn't worry at all about
10-inch screen on the inner screen. All right, let's do the first fold, shall we? Don't want to mess this up, which I almost did. Wow, look at that.
I didn't think about this till you were holding it. I traditionally think about holding it this way, but if you turn it this way, I mean, honestly, it's more like an iPad or like a Samsung Galaxy Tab.
I would use it.
So
The use case potential there is with this, considering that using this in portrait orientation is actually super helpful and useful. For example, Samsung Notes here, super nice to reference when looking at it in portrait orientation here.
that generally any of the more intense applications will pause when you're not actively using them or playing them. But for the purposes of office type work, it's pretty close, especially when you connect up to a mouse and a keyboard and you use the fancy kickstand. So even if you just have your phone and your laptop, you can have a dual monitor display on the go, which you have been able to do before on Samsung tablets. I just think it's sick that you can now do it with a phone that will almost definitely be with you.
There's no way around it. But knowing that folding screens are soft is the first way to protect it from damage, as long as you don't let the inner display come in contact with hard or pointy objects like fingernails, keys, or even coins.
Soft that I managed to get deep gouges on mine just by leaning it against a vase. Plus now, remember, with a trifold, you've got more room than ever for random pocket particles to end up between your screens. So the main
External magnets. And I mean, yeah, the amount of dirt I sprinkled on top is rather extreme, but with how instantaneous the grinding started, I would be very nervous to ever set the trifold down on a non-pristine surface, or even
Display, especially when using it in portrait orientation, compared to when you don't have a case, it is actually kind of sharp on the hand. So even though it adds a little bit of bulk and heft, I've been really liking the case a lot. There is definitely a bit
Used as the normal front screen is a fingerprint magnet. It's kind of weird how it's set up. So you have the full screen when you open it up, but then on the back you still have that one partition in the middle that has a screen on the opposite side. So it won't. We don't know exactly what it's going to cost in the US yet. We don't have a release date yet, but we know it was about $2,500 in Korea. So we can assume it's probably going to be about $2,500 here in the US. That's a spicy meatball. And the
Z Fold 7, I would guess we're looking at closer to $3,000 when it launches soon in the US. It's fine, just think of it like a grander slice. But because Samsung has spent so long making normal foldables and so long making tablets, this
to me, even though I like it, is that's a lot of stinking money. But I was like, okay, trying to play it cool, like, yeah, it's all right, it's okay. And then I got to play with it in person, like, dadgummit, this thing is so stinky.
which the iPhone Air didn't have room for. Amazing things can happen when Samsung decides to flex, and I think they should be flexing way more often. There's the dual SIM card tray with a gray rubber ring to
12-megapixel ultra-wide lens. There is a 10-megapixel 3x optical lens, so decent zoom on this. Here's a look at the 10 times. Past this zoom is really when you start to lose quality, but overall I would say a
generation, but
Yeah, I love this thing. I didn't think I was going to be this impressed with it in person, and I just kind of like downplayed it in my mind, but now I want one.
yeah, I would totally use one of these. I love this thing.
back to Netflix, then like magic, Friends just reappears and we can resume the binge. What's also cool is there's a little button here to quickly swap the position of the apps, so you're not bound by the order that you opened them in. And even though there is
want other people to enjoy this phone, I am definitely going to be continuing to use this since I can do pretty much everything on this tablet now. But I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on the Galaxy Z Trifold in the comments below.